Where is the worst place that you have fallen asleep? Class? Church? Work? Behind the wheel? Okay, no. Unless you got arrested because of it, it's still not as bad as this Michigan teen who fell asleep in court after footage of Judge Kenneth King placing a teen under arrest for nodding off twice during a field trip to the court went viral. The minor's mother has filed a lawsuit on her behalf. Let's break down the allegations of the lawsuit and let's find out who's gonna come out on top in Judge versus Teen Round 2. According to the lawsuit, our plaintiff, ELG, is a part of a vocational program that aims to teach adolescents how to succeed in the workforce. And as a part of the program, a field trip was set up for the teens who were considering a career in law. I personally recommend this career path. They were visiting the 36th District Court, also known as King's Corner on Facebook. Okay, whatever. Miss ELG, despite wanting a career in medicine and not being informed about the trip before arriving at the worksite, was taken on this trip. The complaint alleges that the group observed a homicide proceeding in the courtroom that forced the plaintiff to relive a traumatic event, which led to her nodding off during the lecture that followed. Now, if you're not a person who gets drowsy under extreme emotional distress, this may seem strange to you. But as someone who's personally experienced this physical reaction, I totally get it. After being reprimanded by the judge, she fell asleep again and was placed in a detention cell while Judge King called court into session. Sidebar, one of the allegations is that he didn't actually call court into session, which he didn't, and he has publicly admitted since then that he didn't. It was all for show. ELG was later handcuffed and directed to another cell where she was told to strip and put on a jail jumpsuit. She was then taken back to the original cell and left there for the day's proceedings. After the court day concluded, Miss ELG was taken back into the courtroom where she took place in a fake trial in front of not only her group, but also everyone on Judge King's live stream. A random private attorney was called in to be Miss ELG's counsel, and Judge King threatened to send the minor to a juvenile detention center. He then asked the teen's peers to act as a jury and decide whether she should be let go or serve time. Now, the lawsuit itself has 8 counts. 5 of those are against Judge Kenneth King, 2 of them are against the court officers who enforced Judge King's orders, and 1 of the counts is against a company called Universal Protection Services. The last charge against Universal Protection Services is because the court officers are actually employed by Universal, and the plaintiff is alleging that they broke the law within the scope of their employment at a private security guard company that was only contracted to the county court system. So now let's move on to these main charges. First up is malicious prosecution in violation of the 4th Amendment. Specifically, the lawsuit says that the judge acted under color of law by representing to Miss ELG and the public that he had the authority to punish ELG when in fact he did not. He jailed her without any process to await a fake proceeding conducted without legal authority and without probable cause to bring a suit or charge. His motivation for detaining her on the fictitious charge was malicious, to teach her a lesson and to scare her straight because he felt disrespected. And after inflicting the punishment, he acquitted her of the phony charge and released her. Judge King knew that ELG didn't break any law, wasn't in contempt of any actual court, and that the sham proceeding was illegal and was, well, a sham. The judge is 100% liable of this allegation. It's a slam dunk. Unless the judge is immune. The complaint then accuses the judge of unlawful arrest and incarceration in violation of the 4th Amendment. For the same reasons that I gave in relation to the malicious prosecution, this one is a winner for ELG and her mother. The off-duty judge knew that ELG had committed no crime and there was no probable cause to arrest and incarcerate her. And being off-duty is a pretty important point, and I will get to that in just a minute. The lawsuit states there were no facts that would have led a reasonably prudent person to believe that Miss ELG had committed an offense punishable by arrest, handcuffing, and incarceration when she nodded off or otherwise was perceived to have a bad attitude during a lecture that occurred on August 13th, 2024. I couldn't have said it better myself. The third charge against Judge King is intentional infliction of emotional distress because, according to the complaint, defendant Judge King's conduct in broadcasting the lecture live on the internet, berating Miss ELG, exposing her personal information, characterizing her as a delinquent, arresting her, causing her to be handcuffed, causing her to disrobe, jailing her, fake trying her, and threatening her with extended juvenile detention in horrid conditions was extreme and outrageous. The conduct was intentional or reckless and conducted for the purpose of teaching Miss ELG a lesson, scaring her straight, and entertaining an audience. This claim is often called outrage in many jurisdictions, and the idea is that when an intentional act or a series of intentional acts is so obviously over the line of how decent people treat each other, and then those bad acts are very distressful, like someone in apparent authority threatening actual jail time as a farce to a child, then money can be awarded. Now, the last two counts against the judge are for invasion of privacy and false arrest and imprisonment. The complaint alleges Judge King intentionally disclosed Miss ELG's personal information, including her name, age, school, and more, by streaming the fake trial on the internet. The complaint alleges that Judge King acted in reckless disregard as to the falsity of his characterization of Miss ELG as a delinquent and the false light in which Miss ELG would be placed because of his own personal desire to show his version of scared straight to a physical audience of Miss ELG's peers and an internet audience of his viewers, his fans, his followers, and consequently, the entire public. Furthermore, defendant Judge King demonstrated actual malice by admitting that he did not like Miss ELG's attitude or body language and felt like she disrespected him when he was delivering his classroom lecture. The complaint is very well written, and this is exactly the correct way to frame what the judge did. The reasoning behind the false arrest and imprisonment accusations are kind of self-explanatory. If the judge is guilty of the first three claims, which, I mean, he totally is, unless he's immune, then he's definitely liable for these two claims as well. So now we know what the complaint alleges happened, which is pretty easy to prove, seeing as how there are clips of the exchange all over the internet. We know what laws were allegedly broken. Will this lawsuit turn out in this girl's favor? Well, first we'll need to explain how a judge's immunity defense works. Basic principles of judicial immunity work like this. You can't sue a judge for anything ever. You will always lose. Or to put it another way, if you sue a judge, your case will be dismissed. Or yet another way, a judge will never be accountable to a plaintiff in a lawsuit. Or yet another way, win in court if you snooze, you lose. No, that one was a joke, because, she fell asleep. But let me give it to you another way. It's a total waste of time to sue a judge for something that he does to you in court because you will always lose. Now, the complaint attempts to circumvent this by claiming that the entire trial and the arrest and all the humiliation and the live streaming was not an actual judicial proceeding, but instead was a skit, even though it happened in the courtroom. The lawsuit says that court was not in session, that the judge was acting as a teacher, a lecturer, and a Some of the points made in the lawsuit was that she wasn't given a case number, that there were no court records, and that it wasn't an official proceeding, and of course, the whole thing was from top to bottom, and it was always supposed to be. So guess what, friends? Judicial immunity is not going to apply in this instance, and it's not even a close case. Judge King is going to have to write a big, nasty check. Now look, everyone makes mistakes. Y'all know that I've made mine. And she was after being reprimanded. And the plaintiff is alleged. We've all been And I don't hold it against Judge King that he got on the wrong path that day. He didn't see a need to turn around, and he made some really stupid decisions, and he injured a minor. Look, as I said, we all make mistakes. But right now that this lawsuit is filed, this is when we are going to find out Judge King's true colors. We're going to find out his character, because it's one thing to make a series of stupid mistakes and to get caught up in something dumb. But it's a whole other problem if after that fact you fail or refuse to own those mistakes. I'm saying this here as a member of the bar, as an officer of a court. I'm calling on Judge King to own his stupidity and get this case resolved. Please, Judge, don't make yourself and all other judges look even worse. And please don't drag the judicial system through the mud by denying that what you did was incredibly wrong and stupid and hurtful and illegal. It wouldn't surprise me if Judge King doesn't have an insurance policy that would cover this claim, although maybe he does. But if he doesn't, then it's likely that he doesn't have a ton of money with which to pay a settlement. But that might not be the worst news of all time for ELG and her mom, because Universal Protection Services is on the hook for a good number of these offenses, and they have plenty of insurance, plenty of free cash, and they have what plaintiffs' lawyers like to call deep pockets. We love deep pockets. And with that in mind, I'd like to offer a nickel's worth of free advice to ELG's lawyers. I would replead this complaint, and I'd include some elements of joint venturing, cooperation, and/or conspiracy between the jailers and the judge in order to get Universal on the hook for all the damages, not just those of its idiot employees. That's just a thought, because I'm definitely rooting for ELG in this case, if I didn't already make that clear. But hey, that's just me. Do you think Judge King should face consequences for the fake trial that he forced the minor to participate in? Do you think that the lawsuit should be dismissed? Please drop your pro se opinion down below and let me know what you think. And don't forget to lawyer up by hitting the subscribe button to find out what happens next on Judge vs. Teen. Yeah, I can't call, because I'm a lawyer, I can't call a judge a like we have like ethical, like I'm not allowed to do that, even if he is one.